welcome back. I'm so happy you're here. So we're going to resume our devotional Turning Points with God by David Jeremiah. Today's devotion is The Wellspring of Life. It's found on page 146. And our scripture comes from the book of Proverbs, chapter 4, verse 23. And I will be reading that from my King James Bible. And it says, "Keep thy heart with all diligence." And diligence in this text means care. "For out of it are the issues of life." Underground water reservoirs are being contaminated with all manner of chemicals. Some of them are carcinogenic. The gasoline additive MBTE has been leaking from storage tanks nationwide. Arsenic has been found in New England well water, and chemicals from fertilizers are polluting wells in agricultural areas. The water that comes out of a rural kitchen faucet is only as pure as the well water that supplies it. A tiny bit of a deadly chemical is enough to cause authorities to seal the well out of concern for its users' health. The human heart is like an underground reservoir. What comes out of the mouth of man will only be as pure as the heart reservoir that supplies it. Mark 7:17 through 23. Just as governments are getting tough on polluters, we need to get tough with ourselves about what goes into the spiritual reservoir of our heart. We cannot willingly be contaminated by the world and then expect our hearts to flow with purity and life. Wow. It is up to us to safeguard our hearts. How tough are you being on yourself when it comes to keeping your heart pure with all diligence? A pure external life, speech, thoughts, actions, desires, begins at a deeper level. The heart is the wellspring of life. Purity begets purity. "Make and keep me pure within" by Charles Wesley. Woo! This one is very, very deep, to the point, and really goes along with what we've discussed here on this channel from the get-go, really. There's life and death in the tongue. And I just said not too long ago, and I really can't take credit for it. I had heard it, and it just resonated with me, and so I passed it on to y'all. But how many times do we give the enemy the very thing he needs to come at us? By speaking it, by putting it out there. We are sometimes his biggest adversary on beating us up, and it's so true. And what we put out there is truly what we will reap. We reap what we sow. And that also goes with our speech. That goes with the music we listen to. Y'all know I talk about this a lot. That goes with the shows we watch. That goes with when you're scrolling through your phone. Like, I find myself sometimes I'll get on Instagram and be watching the reels, and some of them are not the best quality content for me to partake in. I just scroll on up because I don't want any of that to get into me, because what we see, listen to, partake in has an effect on our life. It can be good or it can be negative. It all depends on what we allow to come in, because what comes in is truly going to come out. It's like that old saying, it all comes out, what happens in the dark comes out in the light, or something like that. Y'all know I can't get all these sayings right, but you know what I'm talking about. What is going on behind the scenes will be revealed in your speech, your actions, who you associate with, how you conduct yourself in various situations. All of that will be evident in your relationship with God, whether you have one or you don't. Whether you're really like on fire for God or you're not. Whether you're really being careful and guarding yourself or you're not. All of that's going to be evident in how we carry ourselves in day-to-day life. And we, as the children of the Lord, need to be very careful how, when we're out in public around different people, how we conduct ourselves, because we can either bring shame to the Lord, or we can make him proud. We can either turn people completely off of God by how we act and interact, or they can see something in us that makes them curious and draw them to the Lord. It is all in how we carry ourselves and what we put into ourselves, because that will come out. A few things I underline because, this one was a good one. The human heart is like an underground reservoir. What comes out of the mouth of man will be only as pure as the heart reservoir that supplies it. That is so true. And this is in all areas and aspects of our life. And it doesn't even necessarily have to be with how we conduct ourselves in public. How we conduct ourselves with our family and friends can say a lot about our relationship with the Lord. When your husband's getting on your nerves and he's really just pushing all those buttons, are we handling him with grace and care? Are we lashing out? Are we trying to understand what's going on where we can help resolve the situation? Or are we just steadily standing there, casting blame? How we handle every aspect of our life is a reflection on our relationship with the Lord. It says, just as the governments are getting tough on polluters, we need to get tough with ourselves about what goes into the spiritual reservoir of our heart. And this is so true. And it can be hard sometimes, because I like a good tongue-in-cheek comedy, but I understand that some of that is just, I don't need to partake in that. I do not need to allow that to get in, because it can start with a little bit, and then before you know it, you're okay with this. And so this doesn't sound so bad, and this doesn't look so bad. And before you know it, it's just blown up into something that you never would have really allowed yourself to sit there and watch and partake. That's why a lot of times you're going to see, if you catch glimpses on the TV or whatever, you're going to see the Andy Griffiths and the Green Acres and the Petticoat Junctions and that, because the I Love Lucy's, because to me, those are so innocent and clean. You're also not going to hear me listening to a lot of stuff that in my past life, before the Lord really got out with me, that I would have listened to, because it's just not good. It's not good for me, because it plants that seed, and then the devil has that little bit to get in there. And I've even noticed on some of the songs that I thought were okay that I'm not able to listen to now. And that's why a lot of times, here recently when I work out, I listen to podcasts, because I don't listen to some of the music. I've got to go and delete some stuff, because it's just not what it needs to be. And the way I determine that is, would I be comfortable if Jesus himself was sitting on my couch or riding with me in my car, listening or watching what I'm watching? Would I be okay with that? And if I wouldn't, if it would be something that I would turn off, then I don't need to be watching or listening to it. That's just how I do it. You do you. I'm just kind of telling you my take on it. And I have really had to get hard on myself and firm with myself, because I don't want to give the devil anything that he can come at me with. And a lot of times he will use music to influence us. Music is very, very, very powerful. In fact, this morning I was scrolling through Instagram, and I found this little girl on Instagram, and she was so cute. So I went to her page and was looking at some of her stuff, and just some of the songs that she was like lip syncing to, that she knew the words to. I'm like, first of all, she's all of maybe 5, 6. You have no business even listening to that kind of music, much less listening to it so much that you've memorized it, and now you're putting it on a video on the internet for the whole world to see. I was just like, And that's not me being judgmental. That's just me being very concerned. And it really was an eye-opener for me that we got to be careful, y'all. We got to be careful. We really, really have to be careful. We cannot willingly be contaminated by the world and then expect our hearts to flow with purity and life. I mean, that's self-explanatory right there. It's up to us to safeguard our hearts. Yes, so it is. And how do we do that? We have a prayer life. We get in relationship with the Lord. We learn his voice and we learn how he convicts our heart. And he will help us know what is contaminating us and what is good for us, what we need to set aside, get rid of, and what's okay for us to partake in. How tough are you being on yourself when it comes to keeping your heart pure with diligence? I would like to say that I'm just a pro at it. I'm not. There's some days that I'm really good at it, and then there's some days that I find myself a little relaxed. And I it's those days that I really thank the Lord for his convicting power, for knowing him, knowing how he convicts me, and then giving me the strength and the ability to turn aside those things. And y'all, it don't have to be music and TV and movies. It can be whatever your vice is, whatever kind of you feel the Lord lets you know that it's not good for you. Some people it can be eating. Some people it can be shopping. Oh Lord, please don't ever convict me of my thrifting. No, but even then sometimes, I know when it's not a time for me to go. I need to just be a little smart and save my money, and maybe some things are coming up that I know about. Even then, for me to go out and spend money that is really set aside for something else, to me, that's a sin. That's a sin for me to go and just be willy-nilly with my money that the Lord has blessed me with, So you just have to have a prayer life. You just have to have a relationship with him. And if you do that, nobody's got to tell you what you should or shouldn't do. You'll know, because he will be there to guide you and direct you and lead you and give you the ability to resist. What does the Bible say? Resist the devil and he shall flee. The Lord will give you that ability, but you have that ability through prayer and relationship with him. Wow, this has been a good one. It's really it's kind of confirmed some things for me. God's good like that. I've had some things kind of been going on in the background with me, and this just kind of like confirms some things for me. So I thank him for that. I thank him that he's so graceful and merciful to us, that he will give us the opportunity to right some wrongs. And, any little speck, I don't want. I want to be pure in heart with the Lord and for the Lord, because he's so good to me. And I'm just praying to make him proud. And I'm thanking him for allowing me the opportunity to right some wrongs, And if it goes against what the Lord wants us to do, then it's wrong. There's no pretty way to dress that up. If it goes against what if the Lord has convicted me of it and I do it anyway, it's wrong. No matter how innocent it may seem to someone else, bottom line. And so I want to make him proud, and I thank him for loving me enough to convict me, to help me right some wrongs. I pray you have an amazing day. I love each and every one of you, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.